Welcome to the initiative on Quantitative Aptitude. Develop, enhance, enrich. In this sixth video, we discuss some of the problems on simple interest that had been asked in various competitive examinations. First, we understand the concept of simple interest. What does it mean that simple interest rate at 6% per annum? Simple interest at 6% per annum means that interest per year per the amount 100 is 6. So if we invest an amount 100 at 6% per annum, then the interest per year is 6. The interest will not change. The interest for the first year is also 6, second year is also 6, third year is also 6, and so on. And after 1 year, the amount 100 becomes 100 plus first year interest 6. That is 106. After 2 years, 100 becomes 100 plus first year interest 6, second year interest 6. That is 112. After 3 years, the amount 100 becomes 100 plus first year interest 6, second year interest 6, third year interest 6. That is 118. So here we note that the simple interest for 100 for 3 years at 6% rate of interest is 18. That is 3 into 6. And the amount 100 becomes after 3 years 100 plus 18. 18 is 3-year interest, 100 is the amount invested, that is the principal amount. So after 3 years, we get principal amount plus 3 years interest. That is 3 into the interest rate 6. So suppose we invested for n years, then the simple interest for 100 for n years at 6% rate of interest is n into 6. So the simple interest for 100 years, 100 for the amount 100 for n years at r percent rate of interest is n into the interest rate r. So n into r. So this is the basic of simple interest we have to understand. So after n years, at the rate of r percentage, the amount 100 becomes 100 plus nr. Now suppose we are asked what is the cost of 6 bananas if 4 bananas cost is rupees 30. So to get the cost of 6 bananas, what we do is we divide 30 by 4, then multiply by 6. So in general, if A bananas cost B, then C bananas cost is divide B by A multiply by C, or equivalently B into C by A, or it is equal to B into C divided by A. Here we note that as the number of bananas increase, the cost also increase. If the number of bananas decrease, cost also decrease. So the number of bananas and the cost are directly proportional. In general, if one entity is directly proportional to the other and A of one entity corresponds to B, then C corresponds to B by A into C, which is equal to B into C by A or equal to B into C by A. In simple interest, as the principal amount increase, the interest also increase. As the principal amount decrease, interest also decrease. So the amount and interest are directly proportionate. So in simple interest problem also we can use, if A corresponds to B, then C corresponds to B by A into C. If you understand this basic, we can do any problem on simple interest. And of course, we have noted that simple interest for the amount of 100 for n years at R% rate of interest is n into R. So for 100 at R%, the interest is NR. So for the amount P for n years at R% rate of interest, the simple interest is for 100 it is NR. So 100 corresponds to NR. We want the corresponds for B. So divide NR by 100, multiply by B. Just associate this with A bananas cost B, then what is the cost of C? We divide B by A, then multiply by C. So here 100 corresponds to NR. We want what is for P. So divide NR by 100, multiply by P, which is equal to PNR by 100. Of course, This is the simple interest formula, you know. Now we discuss the problems. A sum of money at simple rate of interest becomes rupees 2016 in 4 years and rupees 2286 in 9 years. What is the principal amount? So go through the problem, understand what are given and what is asked. We are given a certain amount of money at certain rate of simple interest becomes 2016 in 4 years and 2286 in 9 years. We have to find the principal amount. So by the basics of simple interest we have noted already. What it means, after 4 years the amount becomes 2016. After 4 years we get the principal amount plus 4-year interest. So the principal amount plus the 4-year interest is 2016 and the principal amount plus 9-year interest is 2286. So principal amount plus 9-year interest is 2286. Principal amount plus 4-year interest is 2016. So if we subtract 2286, we subtract 2016 from 2286, what do we get? We get interest for 5 years. So we know interest for 5 years. From that, if we know interest for 4 years, then we can easily get the principal amount, because interest for 4 years plus principal amount is 2006. So simple interest for 5 years. How we get 5? Because 9 years and 4 years are given. So 9 minus 4 is 5. So simple interest for 5 years is 2286 minus 2016, which is 2270. So simple interest for 5 years is 270 for certain amount. So for the same amount, what is the simple interest for 4 years? So for 5 years, 270. For 4 years, we want. So divide 270 by 5, multiply that by 4. Or it is equal to 270 into 4 divided by 5, which is 216. So simple interest for 4 years is 216, but the amount becomes in 4 years as 2016. So 2016 is principal amount plus simple interest for 4 years. So the principal amount is 2016 minus 216, that is 1800. So the answer is 1. Choice 1. A sum of money doubles in 14 years. In how many years would it triple if the rate of interest is considered as simple? So the money doubles in 14 years. So after 14 years, what we get? After 14 years, we get the principal amount plus 14 years interest. So principal amount plus 14 years interest is double the principal amount. So principal amount plus 14-year interest is 2 times principal amount. So 14 years interest is equal the principal amount. 14 years interest is the principal amount. So 14 years simple interest is principal amount. So in 14 years, the interest is equal to the principal amount. We are asked in how many years would it triple. So the amount triple when the interest for the years is 2 times the principal amount. So interest for 14 years is principal amount, but we want interest for 2 times the principal amount. So the amount triples in 14 plus 14, that is 28 years. So the answer is 2. A man has invested 1/3 of his retirement gratuity at 6% simple interest, 1/4 of his gratuity at 7%, and the rest at 8% simple interest. If the annual return of these investments is rupees 7,012.5, find the total amount of gratuity invested by the man. So we take 100 as the total gratuity. If 100 is the total gratuity, then at 6% simple interest, he has invested 1/3 of his retirement. That is 1/3 into 100. So the annual return at 6% rate is 1/3 into 6. Because for 100 it is 6, we want 1/3 into 100. So for 1/3 into 100, it is 1/3 into 100 into 6 by 100, that is 1/3 into 6. Similarly, since he has invested 1/4 of 100 at 7%, the annual return that corresponding to 7% interest rate is 1/4 into 7. So the amount invested at 8% is 100 minus 1/3 into 100 minus 1/4 into 100, that is 1 minus 1/3 minus 1/4 into 100. But 1 minus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4 is 5 by 12. So the annual return that corresponds to 8% simple interest rate is 5 by 12 into 8. So the total annual return is 1 by 3 into 6 plus 1 by 3, 1 by 4 into 7 plus 5 by 12 into 8. So if you simplify by taking 12 as common in the denominator, then in the numerator we get 24 plus 21 plus 40 by 12, that is 85 by 12. So the total gratuity 100 corresponds to annual return 85 by 12. So if the annual return is 85 by 12, then the total gratuity is 100. What do we want? We want, if the annual return is 7012.5, then the total gratuity we want. So 85 by 12 corresponds to 100. We want what 7012.5 corresponds to. So divide 100 by 85 by 12, multiply with 7012.5. But if you divide 100 by 85 by 12, it is equal to 100 into 12 by 85. So 7012.5 corresponds to 7012.5 into 100 into 12 by 85. So if we multiply 7012.5 with 12, we get 84,150. So 84,150 into 100 by 85, which is 990 into 100, that is 99,000. So the total gratuity amount is 99,000, which is given as choice 2. We do the same in another way. We take the total gratuity as X. But since the interest rate is 6%, we take X into 100 as the total gratuity. So then at 6% rate of interest, what we get? The interest is X into 100 into 1 by 3 into 6 by 100. So that X into 100 with 6 by 100, that 200 get cancelled. So we get X into 1 by 3 into 6. The return corresponds to 7%. Since 1 by 4th is invested there, it is X into 1 by 4 into 7. And the remaining at 8%, the remaining is 1 minus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4x into 100 into 8 by 100. So 100 cancelled, but 1 minus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 4 is 5 by 12. So we get 5 by 12x into 8. So the total annual return is x into 1 by 3 6 plus x into 1 by 4 7 plus 5 by 12x into 8, which is equal to 7,012. 12.5. If you multiply the equation by 12, we get 24x plus 21x plus 40x is 7012.5 into 12, which is 84,150. So 85x is 84,150. So x is 990. Since the total gratuity is x into 100, it is 99,000. An amount of 8,500 becomes 9,500 in 3 years' time at some simple rate of interest. How much the amount of 10,200 will become in 5 years at the same rate of simple interest? So we are given 8,500 becomes 9,500 in 3 years. We know that after 3 years we get the principal amount plus 3-year interest. The principal amount given in the first is 8,500. So 8,500 plus 3-year interest for 8,500 is 9,500. So 3-year interest for 8,500 is 9,500 minus 8,500, which is 1,000. So 3-year interest for 8,500 is rupees 1,000. So 3-year interest for 8,500 is 1,000. What we want? What 10,012 will become in 5 years at the same rate of simple interest. That is, we want 5 years interest for 10,200. So 3-year interest for 8,500 is 1,000. So what is 5 years interest for 10,200? 3 years 8,500. So 3 into 8,500 corresponds to 1,000. 3 into 8,500 corresponds to 1,000. We want what? 5 into 10,200 corresponds to. So 3 into 8,500 corresponds to 1,000. We want 5 into 10,200 corresponds to what? So we have to divide 1,000 by 3 into 8,500, then multiply by 5 into 10,200. So 1,000 divided by 8,500 into 3, that whole multiplied by 10,200 into 5. So if you simplify, you can see that it is 102 into 1,000 divided by 17 into 3. That is in 85, 8,500 we have. So if we divide that by, divide the numerator and denominator by 500, it become 2 by 17 into 3. So it is not 1 or 2, it is 2 into 1000, not 1 or 2 into 1000, it is 2 into 1000. Sorry, 1 or 2 is there, 1 or 2. So if you simplify, you can see it is 1 or 2 into 1000 into divided by 17 by 3, but 17 into 3 is 51. So 51, 1 or 2 is, if you cancel 51 with 1 or 2, we get 2. So 2 into 1000 is 2000. You can verify that. So 5 years interest for 10,200 is 2000. So 10,200 becomes in 5 years 10,200 plus 2000, that is 12,200. So the answer is choice 3. A certain sum of money becomes rupees 1000 in 2 years and 1100 in 4 years at simple rate of interest. The interest rate per annum is, so simple interest for 2 years. We are given in 2 years the amount become 1000, in 4 years it become 1100. So as in the first problem we have discussed, the principal amount plus 2 year interest is 1000. The principal amount plus 4 year interest is 1100. So 4 years, 2 years. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So the interest for 2 years is 1100 minus 1000, which is 100. So simple interest for 2 years is 100. But the amount becomes in 2 years as 1000. So principal amount plus 2 years simple interest is 1000. So the principal amount is 1000 minus 100, that is 900. Simple interest for 2 years is 100. So simple interest for 1 year is 100 divided by 2, that is 50. 100 divided by 2, that is 50. So for the principal amount 900, 1 year interest is 50. For principal amount 900, 1 year interest is 50. 2 year interest is 100, so 1 year interest is 50. For 900 principal amount, 1 year interest is 50. We want interest rate. What is interest rate? Interest rate is interest for 1 year for the amount 100. Interest rate is interest for 1 year for the amount 100. So we have 900 principal amount for 900 principal amount, interest for 1 year is 50. So 900 corresponds to 50. We want what 100 corresponds to. So divide 50 by 900, multiply that by 100. So the interest rate is 50 divided by 900 into 100, which is 50 by 9, which is 5, and 5 by 9. So the interest rate is 5 and 5 by 9 percentage. So the answer is choice 2. A certain principal amount in 2 years at some simple interest becomes rupees 10,000, and the same principal amount at the same rate of simple interest becomes 11,000 in 3 years. Find the principal and the rate of interest. So we are given 2 years, the amount becomes 10,000. So principal amount plus 2-year interest is 10,000. And principal amount plus 3 years interest is 11,000. So 3 years, 2 years. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So interest for 1 year is 11,000 minus 10,000, which is 1,000. We want the principal amount. So we get interest for 2 years. Interest for 2 years is, interest for 1 year is 1,000. So interest for 2 years is 2,000. But the amount becomes 10,000 after 2 years. So principal amount plus interest for 2 years is 10,000. So the principal amount is 10,000 minus 2,000, which is 8,000. In the answer choice given, we note that only the choice 4 has the principal amount as 8,000. So the answer is 4. So even without calculating the rate of interest, we can come to the conclusion that the answer choice is 4, because in the answer choice only in 4th choice the principal amount is 8,000. But for the sake of completion, we find the rate of interest. For the principal amount 8,000, 1 year interest is 1,000. So we want interest rate. Interest rate is interest for 100 for 1 year. Interest rate is interest for 1 year for the amount 100. So for 8,000, interest is 1,000. So for 100 we want. So we have to divide 1,000 by 8,000, multiply that by 100, and after simplification we can see that it is 12.5. So the answer is, the interest rate is 12.5% and the principal amount is 8,000. So 4 is the answer. A man earns 12,500 as simple interest at 5% per annum in 5 years. So find the principal amount deposited by the man in the bank. So 12,500 simple interest in 5 years at 5% rate of interest. So if you take the principal amount as 100, 5-year interest for the amount 100 is 5 into 5, because the interest rate is also 5. It is 5 into 5, that is 25. So for interest 25, the principal is 100. So 25 corresponds to 100. Interest 25 corresponds to the principal 100. What we want? What is the principal that corresponds to the interest? 12,500. So 25 corresponds to 100. We want what 12,500 corresponds to. So we have to divide 100 by 25, multiply that by 12,500. 100 by 25 is 4. So 4 into 12,500, which is 50,000. So the answer is choice 1. So thank you for watching. We will continue our discussion on simple interest in the next video also. Work hard to succeed. Wish you all success. For the links of earlier videos, you can refer to the description box. Thank you.